What's up everybody, Nate here from Out of the Basement, bringing you a brand new action figure review. Today from Star Wars The Black Series, we are taking a look at the Commando droid from the Clone Wars. It's awesome to finally have another CIS droid. I love the attention that they have been showing the CIS recently. We waited so long to get anything other than the B1s, and now we've just been in a sort of avalanche of droids, which is fine with me because these are long awaited. We've wanted them for a very long time. So we're just gonna get into the review. Let's take a look at the package here. It is in the new Black Series box. You can see it is yellow to reflect the Clone Wars. The Commando droid is the 18th figure in the Clone Wars subline. Here's the mural art on the side, which looks very nice. We've got a bio on the back if you want to pause it and read it now. Here's the barcode on the bottom of the box. Nothing else going on with the package, so we're going to get this guy open. We'll take a look at the two accessories, and then of course we'll jump in to the figure itself. First up, we'll start in some familiar territory. We have the standard droid blaster that we've seen quite a few times in the line. This time it is unpainted and just cast in a gray plastic. And as for something new, we have the Vibro sword, which is very cool to see. This is a pretty unique weapon to the Commando droid, so I'm happy that they included it. I know we were all a little worried for a while there whether or not it was gonna actually come with it, so it is awesome to see. I am also happy to report that it is painted. The paint is very subtle. You can see it though pretty well on camera. It's kind of got like a little white overspray, and for some reason my camera really doesn't want to focus on it, but it also has just like a purple, you know, kind of light purple look to it. It's subtle. Maybe it could have been a little bit more exaggerated, but I am happy with it though, because I initially thought this was just a hunk of gray unpainted plastic. And we even get a nice little detail here so we can actually plug the sword in to the back of the figure for some weapon storage. And here's the Commando droid out of the packaging, and this thing looks awesome. The Black Series team absolutely nailed the likeness of the Commando droid. This thing looks like it just jumped right out of the Clone Wars. The skinny, scrawny, lanky, odd proportions are translated well here. And while it definitely makes the figure a little finicky, and unfortunately there is a minor lack of articulation with this figure that kind of holds it back in my opinion, which is unfortunate because I would really like the Commando droid to be a super dynamic figure, but there are some things with the articulation that hold it back, which we'll talk about once we get into that part of the review. But as always, we're going to start off things here. We'll take it off the stand and we're going to get a closer look at the details. So yeah, I absolutely think they did a great job here with the sculpt work, and even the paint apps here are nicely done, and there's some subtle dry brushing on the figure that you can see kind of gets reflected in my lights, a little bit on the face and on the chest, even on the legs and arms as well. It's very subtle, but it's nicely done, and I love the way the light catches it. Similarly, we do have a little bit of this orange paint that goes throughout the figure. These are all little painted parts. The eyes are painted as well. Little dot of red on the chest too. You love to see a standard Black Series figure with paint on it, and they did an awesome job. And of course, this is a new sculpt. We do already have a repaint coming on the way from Jedi Survivor, and I do hope to see some of the different rankings of the Commandos. I would love to get those in the line as well. But yeah, as far as the sculpt and the paint details go, I'm pretty satisfied here. The back of the figure does lack a little bit of detail, unfortunately, but you know how that goes, especially on a standard figure here. So from the front though, I think they did a nice job with those details. The Commando droid is nicely done. So let's talk about the thing that really holds this figure back, and that is the articulation. So starting things out right when you get them out of the package, just be super careful with this figure. Some of the joints are painted, the wrists have paint on them, and then so do the knees. So of course with that, they pretty much lock the joints up. And since this is such a small figure with very tiny joints, breakages have been happening across the board. Mine was pretty frozen, but I took him out of the package and worked at the joints for a little bit. Some of mine are still locked up. I haven't given him the hot water treatment just yet, but yeah, that is a word of caution. The ankles are included in this as well. They are painted there, so those joints are pretty much frozen across the board. So just be very careful when you're starting to pose this figure around. All right, let's jump into the actual points of articulation. So starting things off on a positive note, the head is awesome. You can look all the way up, can look all the way down. Tons of great independent posability. The head is on a ball joint, so tons of movement, rotation, all sorts of good stuff. The neck is even on a really nice ball, which is just awesome. You can get the neck into some seriously crazy poses. So I love that. It's a great way to start things out with this figure here. That is definitely what we're looking for from the Commando droid. And the shoulders can move all the way up and they can rotate all the way around. We do have a really nice butterfly joint here that works very well. So you know, we're still on a good streak here, and it does actually have bicep swivel built in there as well, so that's pretty neat. Kind of hard to see that it actually is there, but here we go. Nice. The single elbow is unfortunately locked at 90 degrees. This was initially thought to be because of this design, but we do have some bicep swivel there, I guess you'd call it, and you can still see that you really don't get much more out of it even if you have it twisted. So just really kind of limited right there, unfortunately. The wrist is a horizontal hinge, so it rotates around and then you do get the horizontal back and forth movement. Definitely would have liked to see a vertical hinge there. I'm not sure if that was probably not a possibility with how thin this was, but still I would have liked to see it. You know, like we always say, any sword wielding character needs to at least have one vertical hinge, because the other hand is also the same deal. We get rotation and then the horizontal hinge. For the ab crunch, the Commando droid can go forward just a little bit and can go back just a little bit. There's actually 2 points here, which is nice to see. Actually, there's 3 points. We get the top, and then there's this one right here in the middle, and then at the waist as well. So 3 points of articulation there for the abs, and still can't crunch forward. This is definitely due to the design. I mean, you can see it clear as day. It just blocks things up, but that is just the nature of the beast, unfortunately. So pretty limited there, which, you know, is going to hold the figure back. But I think my personal main beef is probably going to be with the legs here. Now, my copy has a little minor QC issue. You can see this leg is probably how it's supposed to be normally, but for some reason this one came really pushed in the package, and I haven't quite figured out how to fix that just yet. So it really locks up the movement on this leg because it just grinds against his hips. So I really don't want to move that. So unfortunate QC issue, but you'll still see that the legs are limited in other ways that inhibit the posability that you would want out of the Commando droid. So the legs can, of course, kick all the way up. Being this is a droid, we do have a nice ball joint there, so they go 360 degrees here. You can definitely windmill all day and night. No thigh swivel, which is not surprising on a droid figure like this, but we do get a little bit there at the hip. The knee is single jointed and once again only gives you 90 degrees. I definitely would have liked to see a little bit more posability here, but there's just this little chunk of plastic that just seems to be holding back that articulation, that maybe if they would have trimmed that up, we could have got a little bit more out. But goes forward a little bit too. Of course, it has swivel at the top, and the feet can go down very far. They can go up very far, and he does have ankle pivot. Now, don't get me wrong, some dynamic posing is definitely possible here. However, it's just not quite where I would like it to be. But still, I can't stress enough that you can still get some really fun nice poses out of the Commando droid. So now let's jump into some comparisons here. We're going to see how he scales with the rest of the CIS. First up, we have the Black Series Count Dooku, and then the Super Battle Droid. We'll follow them up with the Droideka and the regular B1 Battle Droid. And for the last couple droids, we have the Black Series Magna Guard and the Bandai Model Kit General Grievous. And to close out the comparisons, we've got to do a couple clone troopers. We have wave mate to the Commando droid, Commander Bakara, and then we also have a plain Phase 2 2023 clone trooper. So while I think the Commando droid is a great looking figure, the couple points of articulation that it is lacking in definitely hold back some of that posability that you would really be looking for in the Commando droid. With that being said, of course, I 100% still think this is a worthy pickup. Articulation is not everything to us here on the channel, but it is important, and it's definitely worth noting when we think that there could have been some things possibly done a little bit better, or we would have just at least hoped would have been better, especially when we're dealing with a dynamic character like the Commando droid. It's still not a deal breaker. This figure is definitely still worthy of adding to the shelf. You need a Commando droid for your CIS display. That is just a guarantee, no matter what kind of prequel era Clone Wars collector you are. So there you have it. That's my review. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, don't forget to leave a like on this video. Subscribe if you are new. We're always talking about Star Wars The Black Series here on the channel. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Nate from Out of the Basement, and I will see you next time.